WNBA free agency has been a whirlwind, but it seems to be giving us a day to calm down. Most of the big free agents have found homes, but there is one question that I just cannot get out of my head, and that is, what the heck is going on with
Carter Kennedy Carter just committed career suicide on national television.
Get myself together. I know that I'm a vital piece of this team, and I know that I need to be in shape. I need to be ready to go. I need to be mentally ready, physically ready. So all of those things were coming into play while I was sick, while I was out. There were still things that I was doing, basketball oriented, so that when I come back, you guys are like, oh, it's kind of like she didn't miss a beat. Yeah, because you still have to work when you're asleep and you're sick and things like that.
One push, one reckless move, and boom, her WNBA future went up in flames.
The Sky's Chennedy Carter hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday upgraded the call to a flagrant.
Split second, she went from being a star with promise to a pariah no team wants to touch. But here's where things get really wild. It's not just about that push on Caitlin Clark,
which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter.
Just the latest chapter in a long history of drama, bad decisions and team implosions. Now she's radioactive, no team will even pick up the phone when her agent calls. Before we dive into the full scope of this disaster, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned because you won't believe how Carter threw her own career off a cliff. It was a moment that sent shockwaves through the league, a scene so raw and unfiltered that it felt like something out of a sport drum. The Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever were locked in a heated battle, the kind of game where tensions rise with every possession. Clark was putting on a show, dropping buckets with ease, orchestrating the offense like a maestro, and making defenders look helpless in real time. She was the spark, the attraction, the player everyone in the building had their eyes on. Then there was Chennedy Carter. She wasn't just playing defense, she was hunting. The frustration in her movements was unmistakable. Left to play. Every time Clark made a play, you could see it in Carter's body language, gritted teeth, sharp glances, heavy breaths. The tension between them built like a ticking time bomb. Bam! Without warning, Carter delivered a full-force shove to Clark's side, sending her stumbling off balance. It wasn't a regular foul, it wasn't a hard contest, it was pure calculated aggression. For a split second, the entire arena went dead silent, like someone hit the mute button on reality. Players froze, fans gasped, referees hesitated, processing what had just happened. One scout in the building reportedly said, "I've never seen anything like it," because this wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. It was a message loud and clear. Carter wasn't just fouling Clark, she was challenging her, targeting her, maybe even trying to humble her. But there was one massive problem: the WNBA had no room for that kind of state. For those acting surprised by Carter's actions, let's be real, they haven't been paying attention. This wasn't an isolated moment of poor judgment, it wasn't a heat of the moment lapse. This was a pattern, a predictable flashpoint from a player who has left a trail of burned bridges in her way. 4 teams, 4 locker rooms, 4 exits filled with tension, drama, and controversy. That's not bad luck, that's a reputation problem. A player with Carter's talent should be thriving in the league, yet she's been treated like a volatile stock, too risky to invest in. Coaches don't just give up on skilled players unless there's something deeper at play, and with Carter, that something has always been her attitude. Think back to her early days with the Atlanta Dream. She didn't just have issues, she almost came to blows with her own teammate Courtney Williams during a heated locker room dispute. The team suspended her indefinitely, and her WNBA career nearly ended right there. Fast forward to her stint with the Los Angeles Sparks, another train wreck. She wasn't benched for performance, she was benched for conduct, poor leadership, and unwillingness to be coached, and a tendency to clash with teammates. It's been the same story over and over. So when Carter shoved Clark, it wasn't just a dirty play, it was the final straw, the moment, the thin ice. Her career finally cracked. In sports, mistakes happen, players get caught up in the heat of competition, but what separates those who move forward from those who fall off? Accountability. And that's exactly where Carter failed again. After the incident, she had 2 choices: own it or deflect. She chose the latter. Instead of acknowledging her actions, she doubled down. When reporters pressed her about the situation, she didn't show remorse, she didn't offer an explanation. Instead, she smirked and shut down every question about Clark.
On the play before bumping in with Caitlin, it seemed like she turned to you a little bit after the Fever
I
score.
answered no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
Answering any Clark question, she said with the kind of arrogance that makes executives and coaches shake their heads, it wasn't just dismissive, it was proof that she didn't care, proof that she wasn't learning, and in a league that values just as much as talent, that's the kind of response that ends careers. Because here's the truth, talent alone doesn't cut it. In the WNBA, professionalism matters, attitude matters, and Carter, she's been proving for years that she lacks both. She had multiple chances to change the narrative. She had a golden opportunity to rebuild her image. But at every turn, she's chosen ego over growth, and that's why no team wants to take a chance on any more. The WNBA wasn't about to let this slide. The league wasted no time in handing down a flagrant foul call, an official statement that the hit on Caitlin Clark was more than just aggressive defense. The words they chose were deliberate, unnecessary, and reckless. That wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it was a direct condemnation of Carter's actions, a line drawn in the sand.
Carter to the basket, and she's fouled hard by Nalissa Smith. And we'll see if Matt Leinart, Emmanuel Acho, Stephen A. Smith's, Louis Riddick of the world will be as vocal about that foul as any foul that was Caitlin Clark.
The ripple effects were immediate. Front offices across the league took notice. Scouts and executives in the arena had already seen enough before that night. Some might have considered Carter a high-risk, high-reward player, talented but unpredictable. After that incident, she was seen as a liability. The Chicago Sky had a decision to make. Would they double down on Carter, maybe give her a contract extension, or at least try to trade her to a team willing to take a gamble? Instead, they did something far more decisive. They cut ties completely. No trade discussions, no buyout negotiations, just a quiet but unmistakable move to let her go. In professional sports, sometimes your reputation can be salvaged, sometimes a moment of poor judgment can be overshadowed by years of consistent performance. But in Carter's case, the WNBA's ruling wasn't just about one foul, it was a reflection of a larger problem, a player with a history, a player who, according to many insiders, was already walking a thin line, and this time she had crossed it. Carter thought her teammates would rush to her defense. She was in for a rude awakening. The silence from the Chicago Sky locker room spoke volume. No public statements of support, no teammates pushing back against the narrative, just quiet distance, and in some cases outright rejection. Then came the whispers. Off the record statements from former teammates started making their way to reporters. She's difficult to play with, she doesn't listen to coaches, she's all about herself. None of these words were spoken in official press conferences, but the message was loud and clear: we're better off without her. And if there was any doubt about where things stood, social media erased it in an instant. Angel Ree, one of Carter's supposed closest teammates, unfollowed her immediately after the incident. And in today's game, where player relationships are as visible online as they are on the court, an unfollow isn't just an afterthought, it's a statement of breakup in real time, the final digital nail in the coffin of whatever camaraderie they once shared. For Carter, this wasn't just a loss on the court, it was a loss of trust, a loss of her place within the team, and in a league that values chemistry as much as talent. That can be the difference between an opportunity and a dead-end WNBA career. Officially over. Drop a comment below and let us know, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on the biggest controversies in basketball. See you in the next one.